Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. What's going on, guys? We've finished work. It's a bit of a late one tonight. Started at 3 o'clock today, so I knew I was going to go deep into the night, that is. But here we are. So a bit of a late upload, but hopefully you've stuck around. If you're not watching it tonight, hopefully you can get stuck right into it on the Friday before a double header. Not sure about the old double header. I don't mind the idea of it, but the crossover, the overlap, not sure I'm a fan of that. But anyway, we've got some mixed news with the teams. I'll dive into those in a second. We'll have a look at how my side's shaping up, the trades I'm looking at doing, and just talk a bit of banter as well. Speaking of banter, thanks to everyone who jumped on the live session on, Tuesday or Wednesday? Whenever it was. Reckless stuff. The last 25 minutes. I'll tell you what, we talk full SuperCoach for an hour and a half. Then once the quiz happens, it gets a little wild after the quiz. But one bit of news today. Josh Caddy retired. Good riddance, I say, Josh. But he does lay claim to my worst ever SuperCoach selection. I hope we can still see these stats, because I know they kind of changed how your stats page looks when you do retire, but we still have access. Now, what year was it? And speaking of, I'd love to hear your worst SuperCoach selection of all time. He was up there. I reckon it was 2016 when he went to the Tigers in 2017, because I felt like the word was that he went to the Tigers for some midfield opportunities because Geelong weren't giving it to him. I was actually spewing when he left. So I reckon, what did I say? I reckon, yeah, he was 89.8 at the Cats, had some good games. And then I reckon I talked him right up. He was forward status. I said, mate, he can go 95, mid-90s, easy. Midfield time at the Tigers. And he started with 73 and 92. I was optimistic at that point. Then he threw in a 35, a 69, a double 69. It's dangerous. 67. And look, didn't do anything decent for basically the whole year. Played a very good role for the Tigers, but absolutely no good for SuperCoach. Right up there with one of my other all-time stinkers is Christian Salem, who down back has actually turned into quite a handy player and not a bad SuperCoach option. Solid without being, anyone we really consider. But I reckon it was, it might have been 2017 or 2018. I reckon, again, there was a bit of talk about some midfield time, and I thought, yep, he's going to launch into a real nice selection. I got a feeling it might have been this. I reckon it was this. I reckon he went 53 and 44, and then I just had to trade him out, and then he turned up, which was just salt in the wound, but not that it mattered. He wasn't a good selection at all, but just a couple of howlers there, a bit of a trip down memory lane. Some of you long-time watchers would remember that spiel I gave about Josh Caddy, how good he would be through the midfield, inside mid. Didn't pan out. But good on you, Josh. Well played, mate. I hope you enjoy your retirement. Let's have a look at the team, shall we? And Bontempelli is out for the Dogs, managed. I feel like a few people brought him in anticipating forward eligibility. He didn't get it. Now he's out of the team, so I just wonder how that affects some of us. I'm nervous about the Dockers. Brody, Brayshaw. I just feel like we'll get a bit of news tomorrow about another couple of guys that are out. Sean Darcy is back in. Just keep an eye on his form. Chapman's back in. Could be relevant for some. Did you hear Jay-Z Clark on Triple M call him Aiden Boner the other day? Christ, Jay Clark. What are you doing, mate? The Pies have a few out. There's a couple of murmurings about Nick Dacos and whether he's going to be right, but he's been named, so that should be fine. McGuinness obviously has been a bit of a disappointing cash cow. Dustin Martin is back in town, so is Cochin. Wouldn't expect that midfield role from Jaden Short this time around, but let's hope Shorty can still get a bit of a peel off half back. Let's keep an eye on how Dusty returns as well. Could be a handy little option. Paddy McCartan is back. That's good. Rory Thompson is in the side. There's not much down back, and he's not going to be a big scorer, but he just might be able to give your side 90 or 120k extra, and it could be the difference for falling short from an upgrade or making it. And then the Cats, Francis Evans, I feel like scored okay in his one and only game earlier in the year. So if he goes all right again, Just keep an eye on that. Cooper Stevens, I'm a massive rap for. Should be in the team every week, in my opinion. I think Geelong just need to play him unless he's dreadfully out of form. I think it's time we get some of these old boys out of the side. Unchanged are the Giants. And Baldwin's dropped. McDonald managed. Josh Ward is back, but most of you will have turfed him. And then in the Melbourne side, obviously a bit of change because they had a few missing with health and safety protocols. And of course, I don't think it's sitting here, but of course in here somewhere Saturday night is Brisbane West Coast. I believe they'll just announce their teams on Friday night, probably around 5:30, 6 o'clock. God knows what's going to happen with the Eagles. I don't know. It really is a compromised game. If Shorty puts his serious hat on for a second, I really don't know how they can push on and have any sort of legitimacy over that game. I mean, it's going to be another installment of a game that's just totally compromised. It's a reserves team versus a senior team. How many of those types of games can we have in the competition before it really does start to shape the ladder? Either way, I think it'll be a real talking point when you see a team that shouldn't have won, in theory, beat a really good side. You know, if the Dockers lose a few and then North somehow pip the Dockers, that's when it'll be really talked about, when it actually you feel like results have been changed. But anyway, that's maybe a little video for Shorty Say, the old Shorty Say back in the day, with some of my best editing work for that thumbnail. And probably the worst news of the week was George Hewett did not return. Speaking of terrible SuperCoach selections, Paddy Dow. Shit. That one's, I've recovered from those other guys. Paddy Dow's still, I'm a little bit sensitive about that one still. Boyd's back. Now Hinge comes back, which is good. Matt Crouch is dropped. Isn't that interesting? Oh, and also Tim English not named. So that's starting to get real annoying. That's real annoying. You know, we've been waiting and waiting. It's like when I open up Tinder every night and I still haven't had a reply. You know, I'm just waiting for it. We've been waiting for English for weeks now. So it's disappointing. I would say Hewett and English owners will be feeling a little pissed off right now. If you've only got one, you know, it's not as bad. But there won't be a Tinder story tonight, guys, either. I know you're disappointed. Don't switch off. Don't unsubscribe. I've got a doozy for you, though, but I'm just holding it. You know, we can't just say them every single week or it loses its shine. You know what I mean? So, like I said, whenever we have a bit of carnage, or maybe just when I feel like it, I'll drop a Tinder story in. But this next one, it involves me nearly running out of petrol in a pretty isolated location in one of my Tinder travel stories. But anyway, that's for another day. Let's take a look at how my SuperCoach side is shaping up. And of course, like I said, with West Coast, Greg Clark is part of that. I feel like who isn't going to be part of that? It seems like they've only got 20-odd players to field from. Hopefully Hugh Dixon is part of the team, but obviously Witherden, we've already heard news he's out. Greg Clark is definitely going to hurt a few. He was in my plans to bring him to my side. I actually was going to fall short by about 3K, which is super disappointing. As my internet just really struggles to boot through there. But McComb was named, I'm guessing. McComb, how do you say that bloke's name? So it's looking, was he named on a wing? Or on the bench there? Yeah. So he's probably, look, like I said on the live session quite a bit, I'm a bit worried about his job security, and I am. But, you know, the fact that I sort of have to go 102K guy for my trade. So my trades this week, I'm going to go Dacos to Miller. Dacos, you know, he's just slowed up a bit, had a mini price drop, so I'm happy to move him on and upgrade him to a premium. And then part of the downgrade was involving O'Driscoll, who originally I was thinking Clark, and then I fell 3K short, and I was punching holes in the wall, but, you know, smacking shit around the bedroom. It's a weird sort of comment, but I was frustrated. And then it didn't really matter in the end because Clark's out. I'll probably go McComb because he is on the bubble. But you got guys like Jack Carroll I think it's Hamilton for the Giants. He would have been named again. Looks to be a potential part of their back six. What did Francis Evans score? I got a feeling it was in the 80s. He's played one game this year. Oh, yeah, it was in the 20s. Nice. Great recollection, Shorty. Holy fuck. What am I thinking of? I don't know what I'm thinking of. Maybe did he do anything? No, that's helpful. Nah, don't know what I was thinking of. Oh, goodness me. So, yeah, we've got a few bits and pieces to think about. Obviously, I do feel like Tuke Miller's in a really nice price range at the moment. So is Christian Petrarca, if you're a believer in him. A few people were speaking about Ollie Wines. My opinion on Wines is that I don't feel like we need to rush out and get him. I know he's at a really nice price for what he can do, but I just don't know. I think last year might prove to be an absolute outlier. He just turns the ball over too much. I could see him averaging 105 or something like that, but I don't know if we'll get 110 plus. Therefore, I'm just happy to bypass him there. I'll talk a bit more tomorrow in terms of upgrade targets and that type of thing and break-evens and fallen premiums, but basically it's a great opportunity now to really map out what we can do with our sides and upgrades, because we shouldn't have any carnage in terms of fielding 22 like last week, so we should be all right from that front. But I just think now you can really start to hone in, because a lot of us will be close to a full side. And I was talking to Langers today, and normally our goal every year is just get a complete side. Whoop-de-doo, fantastic. But I think this year with the extra trades, our goal should to be having like 24 premiums in our team at some point. I think that should definitely be the goal, and I reckon that'll separate the good coaches from just the okay coaches, because there will be interruptions later in the year and there will be unexpected zeros. It's just the nature of it. I feel like we've been relatively lucky so far. We haven't lost to Clayton Oliver unexpectedly, or Jack Steele has to isolate. We haven't copped that just yet. But I think in the second half of the year, even if that does happen, I reckon we should be bringing basically a premium onto the field. I reckon we should be able to have a Scott Pendlebury at D7, or able to swing him into your midfield, or whether it's Dustin Martin on that midfield bench, or could he be in your forward line? Tim English, giving you that versatility. I do think there's no excuses for 35 trades. Let's complete our side before the buys with like 16 to 18 trades left, whatever it is. And then, it might take a few double downgrades just to get one upgrade. It might be a little bit untraditional, a bit tougher to do it, but I think it'll pay its worth later in the year when the teams come out and everyone else is like, oh shit, man, I'm going to cop a zero. I'm going to have to rely on Mitch Hinge to come into the side, whoever it might be. But that's definitely my plan, to cover donuts with premiums. I'm aiming not just for your 22 promos, but 24. But that is a long way down the track. That's probably 6 to 8 weeks. We're going to have to get through the buys before we deal with that. Captaincy options, look at that. Old mate McRae, he's torn us apart the last couple of weeks and just really disappointed us, particularly last week. But I was looking at, so I'm going to have probably the zero will be Hoff. And, I've got Hewett as well, so I can sort of play around with that a fair bit. I might feel Gibcus, I'll have to think on that one. But so that might change my plans potentially, because I thought Hewett wouldn't be a zero. But I am thinking about just backing in McRae. Stars don't stay down for long. He hasn't been awful, but I just get the feeling he's got a 130 plus in him against Port Adelaide. And I am liking Jack Steele's just so damn consistent. And I do feel like he's just due for a 150. I know it's against the D's, but I just got the feeling he's got, McRae could just be a 39 touches, kick a little goal, 144. And maybe Jack Steele just could have one of those games where he gets 29 touches and lays 12 tackles. That's what I'll be hoping to do. But I don't think there's too much to really think about. In terms of advice over English and Hewett, I just think you keep holding, because, we've come so far with those guys. It is disappointing, it is frustrating, but you've held them for so long. So just remain patient if you can. But I'm staying patient with Butters. I think he's been all right. Starting to fill out that midfield, which is nice too. And Tim Taranto will be on the menu next week. And then, yeah, I think that's about all we should really cover off. But feel free to pop any questions into the comments, guys. Definitely let me know your worst ever SuperCoach selection. But any comments, questions, I'd love to hear them because I've got tomorrow off. I'll be smashing some study, but I'll also be looking at your comments and look to get back to you and hopefully answer a few of those throughout the day. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in. Little late night session. Behave yourself, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.